Got some pallet board scraps laying around you don't know what to do with? We build a Rustic American Flag Cross, and we'll show you how. After this! I'm Kyle, and at Adventures at Home, we love all things DIY. We love watching DIY videos, we love making DIY projects, and we love sharing those DIY videos with you. So if you're like us and love making DIY projects and watching videos on how to do them, hit the subscribe button. We have new projects and new ideas coming out every week. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Let's get to today's project. So today's project, we made this Rustic American Flag Cross out of some pallet boards. Let's get to work. So the first thing we're going to do for this project is just cut down some pallet boards of the size we need. We're going to need one board that's 11.5 inches, one board that's 4 inches, and one board that is 12 inches long. Notice I'm just cutting the nail holes out of the board as I go as well. The next thing we're going to do is just find center on all of our boards. That way we can lay out the boards exactly where they need to go, and then we can lay our stencils down over the top. If you notice, I already have our stencils cut out ahead of time. And if you need the stencils or would just like to take a look at them, you can check them out. We have them up for free on our website, adventuresatHomeLLC.com. And as long as you're checking out our website, we'd also like to connect with you on social media. We do post daily on Instagram and Facebook, and we'd love to hear your comments on any of our projects, as well as hear any of your project ideas that you have for the future. If you do decide to go ahead and use our stencils, one recommendation that we have is that you just take the stencil picture that we give you, and then you can adjust it based on the actual width of your pallet boards, because they do vary, and that way you'll get a perfect fit on these boards. One great thing about the stencils that we created is all of the wave pattern or stripe pattern in the stencils are exactly parallel. And if you do have different size boards, all you have to do for the couple of end pieces that you do have is mark them. So now you can see how well it works having the parallel lines. We actually only need to cut out one of these stripe shapes, and we can just follow that all the way down the board. And if your boards aren't exactly the length, the nice thing is you can just trace the bottom part of the stencil, and then the bottom piece just becomes whatever size is left on the end of the board. Now we can use the bandsaw to cut our stripes out on the board. Now if you don't have a bandsaw, you can also use a jigsaw for this, and it works just as well. Or if all you have access to is a coping saw, you could use that as well. These don't have to be perfectly on the line. The nice thing is you're going to put these right back together where they go. So no matter what, because we're cutting these apart, they're going to fit back together perfectly. Now that we have our pieces cut out, we can just lay them all on our backer board, and we're going to just hit them all with the flame. This will give it a more rugged and rustic look once we put the paint over the top of them. So we're just going to darken the backside, that way it doesn't look like fresh polished wood behind the paint where it shows through. There's no real correct darkness that you have to get these boards, but this is about the correct darkness that we found that gives a rustic look but still allows the boards to show through the paint. I'm using MAP gas here just because it burns just a little bit faster, but propane works just as well. Now that those are all done, we can lay it back out again, and we can lay out the pieces according to what color they're going to be painted. And you can reference the template that we give you, or you can just take a look a little bit further in the video when you see the finished product, and you can divide the pieces up by what color they need to be. Now the trick here is to not apply the paint real thick, not like that. So brush some of it off first and then just lightly brush it on. You can kind of adjust this as you see fit for how much of the wood behind you want shown through, and this will give it a more worn or a less worn look. Now we can lay out where the stars are going to be cut out. We're just going to find the exact center of this board for the first star. And once you have that, you can just trace around the star. Make sure you have it orientated correctly. Now for the second star on this horizontal piece, we're going to mark the top of the horizontal pieces on the star. That way we get them in line perfectly, and then we're going to space it evenly between the other star and the end of the board. And the top piece is just going to be dead center. Next we can drill some holes through all of the centers of the stars. This will allow us to get our saw blade through to cut the stars out from the inside. Now we can use our scroll saw to cut the stars out. We actually just got this scroll saw not too long ago, and this is one of our first projects using it. We really like it, and it's definitely makes it easier than using a jigsaw. But of course, if you don't have a scroll saw, a jigsaw or even a coping saw would work for this. Now that all the stars are cut out, we can start gluing and clamping all of this together. Now we did run into some problems in the past with clamping and getting all of this to line up. So this is, after trial and error of a few different methods, this is the one that we found works the best and keeps everything in line. So we just have a few scrap pieces of board off to the side here. So after we get a glue applied to everything, we're going to put those on the outside. And we're just going to put some clamps, and then this will hold them from sliding on those cut lines while we clamp the ends together as well. Notice I'm not really cranking down on the clamps yet. Once we have all the clamps that we're going to use in place, then we'll gradually tighten them all together, and then this will keep everything in line and straight. Just make sure you press it down, and you're doing this on a perfectly flat surface as well. Now we can add in our next clamp. And one more. And there you have it. Now we can just tighten everything down. And that's the best clamping method we've found for this. If you have any suggestions for a better way to do this, we'd love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. Now we can work on clamping together the horizontal piece. We're going to do this about in the same way as we did the other ones. However, this one we're just going to negate the small scrap pieces that we did, and we just need one clamp to hold the one stripe on. We did put the tiny little red piece that goes on the very end of this. We just used CA glue to put that on, and that one's not too large of a piece, so we feel comfortable just using CA glue to hold that one on. Now, I'm going to create a little jig for putting the whole cross together. You don't have to do this. All I'm going to do is take a scrap piece of board that's got a perfectly straight edge on it, and then I'm going to take another couple of scrap pieces and just glue and tack those to the side. You just need to make sure that those two pieces protrude from the end of the board, and the gap we're going to leave between them is going to be about 4 inches. That way you can account for different sizes of pallet board thickness. Now you can see as we lay the cross in here, it lines up the top and bottom piece of the cross. We just took some scrap pieces of 2x4 that we ripped down to be about a 1/2 inch thick on the table saw, and we're going to use those on the back of the cross. So we do want them to have a little bit more finished look. We're not going to paint them or anything to match the stripes because it is going to go on the back, but we do want a finished look on them. So now we can go and line everything up. Another great thing about this jig that we made is we just have to center the horizontal board of the cross on the jig, and that'll keep everything center as well. So now you can see where the piece that we just finished off comes into play, and we can just tack this onto the back. This is just going to give everything a little bit more rigidity, as well as give it a little standoff from the wall. That'll give it a little more of a three-dimensional look. So for attaching the top piece of the cross, we're going to use a board horizontally, and we just cut a little notch of it out using the jigsaw that's going to fit around the star. And we can glue this on much the same way we did with the bottom piece. This is also going to be where we mount our hanger later. And we can just tack this into place as well. Now we can attach our sawtooth hanger. You of course can use any hanging hardware that you like. We just prefer the sawtooth hanger. One trick for this is to hold it in place and then use a center punch to start the holes where the nails are going to go in. And once the nails are started, I'll just take a nail set and I'll finish them off all the way in. There we have it. Lastly, I'm just going to coat this with a satin clear coat. This is really important step for this. That way the clear coat will help prevent all of the colors on it from fading. And it just gives it a more finished look. So there you have it, our finished cross. With a little bit of time and patience, you can make one for yourself. Now there's a couple of things that we had to work out during this video, and we hope that we ironed out some of the things along the way that you could get stuck on. For example, clamping all the pieces together, it took us a long time to get a method down that held them tightly enough, but at the same time lined everything up perfectly. We hope that we can work out some of those bugs with some of the tips we showed you in this video. If you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to keep seeing more projects like this, hit the subscribe button, and also ring the bell. That way you're notified of when our next video posts. And until next video, I'm Kyle, helping you create your own adventure at home.